Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. Do you remember about 2 weeks we were telling you about sort of rare occurrences that can happen on the S&P 500 and the Dow? And one of those occurrences is the share market trading between in the range of the previous week, and it's happened a few weeks ago, and potentially it looks like, unless the Dow has a big fall tonight or a big jump up, potentially it looks like it's going to happen again. And these are quite rare events that happen once every 6-7 years, and obviously they're prelude to normally a big fall, or arguably it could be maybe even an aggressive move up. It just shows that the market is really sort of winding itself up for some sort of aggressive move. And I think obviously a lot where it's going to go is going to depend on these elections and possibly general world events in Syria, and obviously how Brexit pans out. But again, I think it is obviously a time to be cautious, and I think it's and that's the way that we certainly we've been sort of trying to play the market over the last sort of 2 months. What I thought I'd like to talk to you about tonight is I think some of the sort of 10-bagger stocks, and the microcap sector this year certainly generally across all stocks hasn't had that sort of you find the market's been a lot more aggressive. The microcap sector, the mums and dads, which has generally been trading them, they're selling a lot quicker than they were last year. I think last year they're letting these stocks, the stories run a little bit more, and I think that sort of underlines the importance nowadays of when you're buying a microcap to make sure it's got some decent revenue, because that does obviously help give some share price support. What I thought I'd do is just have a look through some of the 10 baggers and see how they're trading, and if you haven't got these on your watch list or you're not in them, I think that they're certainly obviously well worth having a look at. The first one I'd like to have a look at, and just really the short-term chart picks it really quite nicely, is Cassini. Cassini's got a market cap about 10 or 11 million. Obviously they've done a great deal with Oz Minerals to hopefully, and I say hopefully, get their nickel and copper mine. Potentially it could be the biggest one of the biggest nickel and copper mines in Australia that could come in production. Oz Minerals now putting money into obviously give a lot more drilling around the project, and obviously if this comes off, Cassini, I think it's going to have obviously a bigger market cap than 10 million. It could obviously run quite a bit higher. So it is an exciting story. Again, it's one to be careful with. It doesn't have any revenue, and this is I think in all classic terms is obviously a real punt on this resource, and potentially if they can get the project up and running. Moy looks great. I mean, sort of looking at that sort of long-term chart, I think Moy, in some ways, because it does move up and down a lot more with the gold price, but we do feel obviously if these drill results keep coming up as well as they're coming up, and the study, which is going to be released I think this month, or could be early next month, if it's positive, obviously Moy and the mine life is extended, obviously Moy could have a really fantastic run up. I do think obviously those as we said before with Moy, those drill results at depth look absolutely stunning, and I do believe this is going to be a lot longer than maybe a 2.5 or 3 year increased mine life. This could be 4 or 5. So if that does happen, obviously at this sort of market cap, it's and the money Moy is making, it's obviously a really exciting potentially story to get involved with. SW1, again, that long-term chart, it's a new one we put on. I think again this company's growing its revenues and looks absolutely excellent. NUH, new here, done what a lot of those stocks had just come on and just been listed, obviously had the big run up in price. Then unfortunately you get this, and this is why you've got to be with the IPOs. It's always interesting like who's been putting the money up to get them started. Obviously these guys just all taking their profits from obviously investing in the IPO, finds a bit of support around that long-term moving average, now starting to look quite good. And again, this sort of ties quite in well with the fact they start obviously producing and selling these earbuds, I believe, around the world in the next few months. So I think NUH is certainly looking very good on the charts, and it certainly is an exciting 10-bagger. Just have a look at AHZ. It's to chart this is quite difficult, but it had that big obviously they got the FDA approval. It's a company we really like. It's had that jump of 60%. Then you got sort of 2 days of bit of profit taking, and obviously they did raise a lot of money at sort of around that sort of 33 cents. So I think that's normal. And again, it's done what a good stock should do. It's come back, hit a really short-term aggressive happy line, and started bouncing off it now. That and obviously ended up in the positive today. And that should most probably hold these sort of levels around this 40-42 before it makes its next kick up. And hopefully the next kick up would obviously be a little bit more stable and hopefully see a nicer looking trend. Lucapa, this is again looking really excited. Had this nice run up, holding a really aggressive sort of happy line, came back, hit another happy line, and bang, up she goes. This is a classic holy grail sort of, it's not quite a holy grail, but you could argue it's sort of a holy grail trending pattern. And often you find this trending pattern, it could definitely go up and retest that sort of 55 cents level. They did put out an announcement today, as on top of that, actually saying there were two of their fantastic diamonds they found recently. I think one was 170 carats, another over 100 carats are going to the auction fairly soon. So maybe that could potentially be the catalyst to send the share price higher. Wangle's in a trading halt at the moment, and again, sort of holding a pretty nice short-term trend line. And you can see from the long-term trend line, had that normal jump up. People got involved with the IPO, obviously taking some profits, and they had a few issues with their software. They've got that sorted out, and hopefully that'll come live on the iPhone, and Apple will come live on all the other sort of platforms for hand held telephones, and I think Wangle around these sort of prices certainly could be really interesting. Star Group, one of our favorites. Be patient. One of the most exciting little companies. Just trading sideways, but I mean, you can't have a company growing its earnings like Star Group, holding this sort of pattern. Eventually, I think when she breaks out, she can break out pretty strongly. What I would like to just mention tonight, XREF. Now, XREF was, it's sort of what it does is it authenticates resumes, and we did really well on XREF, and actually it's still sort of trending pretty nicely, and I think we made about 38% on it this year before we sold it. We sold it. The market cap's about 83 million, and I think the revenue is just over. Last year it was around sort of. I think about 3 months ago, it's around sort of 3 or 4 million. I think there's a company that's quite interesting. You should have a look at actually, and it's the chart looks awful, but CV1 actually looks a lot. In some ways, if you like this sort of type of sector, looks in some ways a much better punt. The reason being is that this company's has got it's just raised some money at around 12 cents. It's obviously been in a downtrend for quite a while, but their revenue is growing pretty strongly. I think their revenue was up to around 13 million and growing. Now this market cap of CV1 is 20 million, whereby the revenue, the market cap of XREF is 83 million. So you could argue that this is pretty undervalued. So we're not sort of, it's not the sort of story we're really interested in putting it as a 10-bagger. It's certainly not a 3-year growth for us yet, but it certainly could be a trade. So it's one to watch. I think if it can hold these levels and start moving up, certainly there could be a decent trade in CV1, and it's worth certainly putting on your watch list and and keeping an eye on it. What I would like to say, we we have been a little bit cautious, obviously, because there's a little bit of an issue with the elections in the States, and I think generally speaking, it's believed that Hillary Clinton would win, and I think if she does win, then the markets should actually have a little bit of a boost. It will be another 4 years of easy monetary policy. Could be great for gold as well. However, just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, in the States this morning, the IBD TIPP poll. Now, this is the most accurate poll in the last, I think, 15 years in the States. The most accurate poll in all the elections they've had before. Well, guess what? They've got Trump winning. And, this just shows, I think, although, we obviously think it looks like Clinton's going to win, there is a possibility, there is this black swan out there that Trump could win the election, and obviously if he does, there's no question about it, these markets are going to come off very, very, very strongly. If you want to go on the website and look at this poll and read up about it, it's called the IBD TIPP Presidential Election Tracking Poll. Have a look and see what you think. But again, I think it just shows the importance of just being cautious till these elections are over, because obviously, like what happened with Brexit, you never know the final story till it eventually happens. Anyway, I'd like to sort of thank you for listening to Equity Story, and I look forward to bringing you this report tomorrow night. Thank you and good night.